Welcome to the Lighter Side Show. Thank you so much for being here. I'm your host, Jamie Butler, the Everyday Medium. I have a few housekeeping notes first before we dive into our lovely guest today, Dr. Crystal, who will be talking about healing modalities and techniques. First and foremost, Luma Summit. And if you love our guest today, Dr. Crystal, she is at Luma Summit with us. That is October 13th through the 15th. We also have all kinds of online classes. Even our 2018 calendar is up. So look for that. And if you are wondering what else are we up to, please head over to jamiebutlermedium.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Guess what? It's all there. It's completely organized and in line. It's so beautiful. Thank you, Colleen Ziegler. I love you so much. She does the newsletter and it looks fabulous. So if you like to be organized, so do I. Let's do that. Now, I have one more thing to say before we dive in. I am still taking my sabbatical. This is my first show after I have taken a sabbatical from readings. Thank you so much for all the clients and sitters and people that have crossed my path for the last 26 years. I am ever so grateful for you. You have allowed me to grow into the person I am today. I am going to be doing some private individual channelings with Grace. You'll see that up on my website, but it's far and few between. My main focus is going to be this show and this network, getting you content and beautiful people in here to help us all expand and grow together. So now, no further delay, Dr. Crystal in studio here in Atlanta. Yay!
Exciting.
Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Hey, well, you were worth the wait. I know that you're not in Atlanta often. You're kind of traveling about and around. You have a lot of things you're juggling. Mm-hmm. You're a good juggler.
I'm mindful in every single space. I try to be as mindful as possible, but there's always something on the calendar, which is a beautiful thing because new land is what I've always known as home.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Okay, so explain a little bit to our viewers. You are Dr. Crystal. You're a chiropractor. Mm-hmm. How long have you been in the chiropractic field?
Chiropractic's 4 years.
And you don't just do chiropractic. You see healing in a totally different light. Mm-hmm. How is that?
Well, I practice chiropractic, Reiki, reflexology. I do readings. I started off as a nutritionist. So I see healing as a decision that people make, but it has to be their own decision. As a doctor, people always came to me and they were like, here's my power, can you fix me? And I've dedicated that degree or that title now to really people owning their power. And when people own their power, they get to make their choices about how and when they heal for the highest good.
Have you ever come across somebody who doesn't want to take their power? Like they keep giving it back to you. You're like, you're the one who did the studying. You're the one who has the life experiences. You're the one who's going to fix me or know what to do with me. Like, how do you get past that person?
I see that often. And so I started off by asking who they are and what is it that I can do for them or why they're here. Whatever variation of that question works. And if the person is not able to tell me what it is that they're actually looking for or own their power, we'll go through a little bit more, go a little bit deeper and see why maybe they decided that there is a person that's superior to them and their innate wisdom. But if not, and the person just wants a quick fix, and it's not, I do it for performance, like when I work with athletes, but if they're not looking for a specific performance, I will refer them out to someone that feels much more comfortable taking on their power and actually fixing them for what they want.
Why don't you feel comfortable with it?
I don't, because number one, I think the most important thing is to hold the integrity of the healing process. If that doesn't happen, I don't know that I can be a part of that. Holding the integrity of the healing process, no matter what it looks like, is really important to me. I don't necessarily, my goal is not to make you feel better. My goal is to open you up to your own healing and your own power. The main part of my practice is honoring the integrity of the healing process. And we'll go into a little bit later, but for me, when I started choosing my healing, it wasn't always about feeling better. Like I thought I had hit a glass ceiling of feeling great. And so it started to break me down and bring me a little closer to the things I had hidden for so long. And so it didn't feel great. But I had to work on the shadow side in order to alchemize that into light. And so because that's been my path, that's the path that I hold for other people. Them finding their own light, not me being their light.
Okay, well, you mentioned shadow work. What kind of definition do you have on the shadow work for viewers who don't know that term?
So when I think of shadows, I think of the redheaded stepchild.
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry, the person that the parts of you that you've hidden in a closet because you're ashamed of them, because you've been told that this is the dark side of you, and the parts of you that you fear. You're not you think that if you actually go into that place, you could either hurt someone or hurt yourself because you've not learned the alchemy of listening to those messages and turning those into light. And once you do that, you go even deeper because, depending on how people, believe, I think it's important that what you give off when you transition out of this space is not the karmic cycle that you could have worked through.
Right. So to be clear, the shadow part isn't necessarily always the duality of the positive part you're holding. Because when you say the word shadow, the image to me is the shadow on the ground from the sun shining. So there's always the positive coming in and the shadow being made. So
it's a lot of perspective. So shadow often can be the duality. I look at life in duality. We also look on spectrums, and I don't really see spectrums, but if there was a spectrum, it would be...
I like the way you think.
It would be the darker side, and it's what you've hidden. Some of it and some of it you don't know. Some of it happened when you were 4 years old, and you don't even remember it. Right, it's not in
conscious memory.
Right, it's not in conscious memory, but things come up to activate it, and what we do is either we push those things away or we go into them and figure out what that message is. And some people... And when I talk about chiropractic or Reiki or any type of modality, it's the pain. And so instead of getting people out of pain, I work with people through their pain so that they can understand the message that their body is speaking to them.
And that will definitely change their patterning.
And you'll be able to work through that. If you didn't, or if I was able to just fix you, it would come back again and give you the same message, and you're still not understanding what it's asking you. So I think it's really, really important for people to be their own alchemists. I work as a guide, but until they can alchemize what they're scared of, you'll hit this glass ceiling of, I'm okay, I'm enough, I'm existing. So we like to bring people to
deeper or further.
Deeper and further, and living and going through it and finding the collateral beauty. That's the movie I watched. It was amazing. Did you watch Collateral Beauty?
I didn't see it. I need to put it on my list.
That's the beauty that you can see in all of what people consider trauma or chaos. Like there's something that's happening that's amazing, and you get to only see that when you go into it and you actually start to feel it.
I like that you're using the word alchemy, and I want to get back to that. But first, Lumineers, your audio, if you're trying to turn it up, fix it, or drown out what's in the background, you cannot. It's Houston's nightmare that's happening in Atlanta. And so, Lumineers, it is raining. Your sound is fine. We're doing our best to adjust it, but it's going to be raining all day, and we figured Dr. Crystal made such the effort to come to the studio that we did want to continue. And for everybody in Houston, our hearts go out to you. We will take time today to send healing to you, as we have been each day here at the network for you. May your recovery be speedy and dry, most of all, dry.
Yes. Yes.
So hang in there. Hang in there. You'll like that one.
We love you.
We love you. I wanted to get back to the question I had in my mind about you using the word alchemy, alchemist, because that's not a word we hear often here in the network. And though I kind of gather the concept, we talk about making a recipe for something, getting all the things in line to get the outcome you're looking for. But the way you're using it, it kind of goes beyond that. And to me, it sounds more like a lifestyle, that this is the way that you're choosing to look at your life as an alchemist. And I was curious to know how you got into that, or what happened to drive you to this point of looking or observing at your life as an alchemist?
I used to think that a lot of my situations were overpowering me. And so I didn't learn how to integrate those into my body or integrate those into my truth. I just tried to ignore them so much. And I can't remember exactly when it was, but it did become an awareness that these things actually brought me to where I am right now. And I started going deeper into understanding and being grateful. Because when we say the word gratitude, it's like some people don't understand gratitude in my truth. Gratitude in my truth is an awareness of this happened and this elevated or evolved my truth into this specific place, and now I'm touching a different part of the elephant and I'm getting to know the entire part, all the parts of me. When I think of alchemy, I think of power, and that's internal power. When I think of alchemy, and it allows people to stop ignoring the parts of them that have actually healed them in certain ways.
And so these would be some of the shadow parts that you mentioned before.
Even reading the book The Alchemist, it's similar, where all of all of these things were happening, and you can think they're happening to you, or you can think they're happening with you or for you, and your perspective determines how you handle the situation and how you heal through the situation, or how you hide through the situation. And so I think of alchemy as a choice. So even you deciding to hide is a choice that you're making that's going to bring you into whatever pathway, and you get to choose where you're going to go, and then you get to decide if you're going to alchemize it into light, or if you're going to alchemize it into darkness and hurt someone. Because you get this thing, you get anger, you get jealousy, you get all of your lower vibrational feelings, then you get to decide what you're going to turn them into. Yes. You could hurt someone, or you could work through it and see how you can channel it and turn it into light.
Because everything is a choice.
And everything is alchemy. Alchemy is not always about sunshine. Alchemy, murderers are alchemists as well.
Yes.
You know, and that's because they've made that choice. Maybe subconsciously, maybe they don't understand that these situations aren't overpowering them. I don't know. And that's why I think my place in the healing, that's where I think my place in the healing is, to bring people to their choice. Now, if you still want to do that, you've made that decision, rather than spending your life or ending someone else's life because you didn't think you had a choice.
See, this is something I really appreciate about you. Like, what I really like when I speak to somebody who is in a position of healing and is in the position of holding space for someone, whether that's going to be teaching them, showing them, guiding them, however directional or non-directional you're taking it with them, is that, you know, listening to you speak right now, you're able to identify that it's not just the sunshine. There's so many viewers out there that look upon spirituality, healing, and just say it all has to be in the positive realm, that there is no negativity in it, that it doesn't have space for it. And right there, you were just able to take all of it, if it was on a scale, and say all of it is alchemy, all of it is healing, all of it, which is something that I try to hit on pretty consistent when we're having these conversations about growing and enlightenment. We're not just taking bits of us forward. Right. We're taking the whole forward.
That's why I try to stay out of the polar and saying, well, this is good and this is bad, this is positive, this is negative, because those definitions have been, the definition brings you to, oh, this is bad for me, or this is going to, whatever people think. When we can just be, and be very fluid, and understand that fluidity, be aware of that fluidity, we are just much more open to the process, instead of being scared that we're going to go be too bad or whatever. That linear aspect of life is really harmful to many people, because they're running out of something.
Yes.
Why are you running out of who you are? Let's go into who you are and find that, once again, collateral beauty in everything.
I wish that I did write that down. It's on my list to watch.
Beautiful. It's a really beautiful movie. I saw it as I was traveling back from Panama. You know, they let you watch the movie on the back, on the back seat.
Yes, the TVs.
Yeah, that thing. I don't watch TV, so like that's the only time I get to see things on flights. Usually international flights are the ones that let you do the things.
I am so entertained by you. I love this so much. Now, I find that most people who get into this healing, who really live it, have it as a lifestyle, they'll say, well, I'm not really watching TV. I'm a little more separate. Like, even the way you're choosing to live your personal life is really aligned with the work you're doing. And that's, for me, proof in the pudding. You know, sometimes we can listen to people and they put on a great show, but then the actions they do are very different, you know, and so like, what are we observing and what are we learning?
Right.
So it's a little difficult. So I really appreciate that you didn't put a toe in. You're all the way into this healing.
It's my healing process, and why it's called, Heal with Crystal, because I'm doing it. I won't ask you to do anything that I haven't had to do myself. And then with my name being Crystal, all we do is intensify energy. So I've had that vibration on my life, all of my life. That's what I do.
I halfway thought when I went onto your website for the first time, because the first time I met you, we were at the TED Talks.
Yes.
And I didn't know anybody there. And it was a little bit of a fundraiser, and you were going to pitch your speech, kind of a thing. And so I walk in the front, I talk to the lady, I get a little name tag, and I scan the whole room, and I see her on the other side of the bar, and she's actually talking to somebody, but I went, that's the person I want to go talk to. And literally didn't say hi to anybody else. I just walked all the way through, and I placed myself at the bar directly next to her. And come to find out, the mutual friend, which I didn't know, the friend who sent me there was the same friend that sent you there.
Absolutely.
And so when that mutual friend walks in, she goes, oh, you guys have met. And I was like, what? I was like, I'm trying to meet her.
Because I didn't know anybody there either.
I was like, I like her light. There was like a little fly. I was like, I just stood next to her. I thought, my God, this is somebody I have to know.
And you are such a beautiful presence, especially with not knowing people there. And she said, this is someone you should know. I'm like, okay. Now, because that person I had just met, because they came to me, and that's a lot of my energy is not very forceful. Like, come see me, come do all these things. I just kind of
it's not
I work a lot on the energy that I carry and attract, because you have to be intentional about what you attract, especially when, because healing is not, being a healing facilitator is not a part-time job. You do facilitation when you're somewhere where you don't even know anybody, when you're at a bar with somebody just because that was the only place to sit. You do that. You do that at all times because it's your being, and when you really understand that's your chosen path, like, you actually just breathe that at all times.
It is who you are. What's your clientele like? Who shows up to have a healing?
It ranges, but most of the work that I do are people that have achieved a certain level of success, and it's usually monetary, and they're able to take care of everyone else, but they have no idea who they are, and they've reached a glass ceiling, and what their glass ceiling is, their light is success, and they're usually ready to end their life. So they're on drugs, whether they're prescription or street drugs, or sometimes they're about to sit on a ledge. They're about to do a lot of different things, and they want space held for them. Also, being a doula, I see people through that intense healing process of bringing forth a new life, them understanding what the messages are between baby and them, and then I also see people when they are transitioning, and they want to clear pathways so that as they exit, they don't wreak havoc in other realms. So I see people who really want space held for the integrity of their process, even if they don't know. When somebody's sitting on a ledge, they want to know. They don't want me to come tell them, well, don't do it. They want, well, what is it that you really want right now? Why are we doing this? They want to be heard, and they want to be able, because I don't tell them not to do anything. I don't tell them, your transition is not my responsibility. But if you're asking for attention right now, or you wrote a letter and this is what you're asking for, well, let's go do this together. Let's go ask for what you're asking for. Because what happened was You didn't think you were heard. You didn't think your truth was valid. You have lived this facade for so long, and you've ignored so much of your shadow parts that they're overcoming. They're overcoming you right now, and you have no idea what to do with them. And so we start going piece by piece into, where did this come from? How long has this been there? How is this your truth? And if this is your truth, are you willing to evolve this? Are you willing to change the narrative or no? And then we do body work, but body work is just an integration, because now we've come to a new truth. That means your body would like to align to that new truth. And so any type of body work for me is not necessarily to fix someone. It is to integrate their new truth into their physiological space.
Have you found that some of the body pain and suffering that people have are related to their mental or emotional pain and suffering that they're going through? That there's not really a true physical injury. It is an energetic injury?
I think it's my truth that pain always starts in spiritual realm.
I believe
it
that.
affects the emotions, and when it affects the emotions, it affects your biochemistry, and when it affects your biochemistry, it affects your physiology. The thing is, we don't really understand or listen until it affects our physiology. But if somebody comes to me, I know they've been there for a long time, and they've not understood the using your word, they're energetic. They've not understood that it's been hitting them for so long. But when they can't work for a long time because they're focused on like how they're going to pay their bills, when that happens, they're like, oh, okay, I need to do some work. But they don't really want to do the work. They want the work done for them. So that's kind of why I moved out of that space of just making people feel better, because the whole goal was just to calm a fear they were having, not go into that fear.
I mean, you're really advocating for the person mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. It's not just, like you said, helping themselves physically feel better so that they can buy another, week or...
Right, because then I would be their new drug. I would be their new drug. Because with that savior complex, then I'm the reason that you're better. So if you're not feeling well, you need to come to me because I'm the one that makes you feel better, when the primary principle is that the body can heal itself. All I can do is translate that message for you. So we're here. What is the message? And they can see through different movements or how they're holding their body or whatever it is. Like, they can move themselves out of these positions, and they can clear some of that interference. Some things are deeper, but for me, the body work is only to integrate that new truth, because there's some things that their body wants to get rid of, but they don't necessarily want to evolve that truth right now. And so for me, the integrity of the healing process is to honor that. Whenever you're ready to go into that, we can go into that. But right now, this is where you want to go. I'm only going to be in the space that you're asking for me to be in.
Lumineers, if you're listening to this and something is resonating with you, again, I always encourage, please put your fingers to the keyboard, leave some comments. Also, you can find Dr. Crystal at Healing with Crystal.
It's Heal with Crystal.
Thank you. Heal with Crystal, not the ING. healwithcrystal.com. And all of her contact information is written below. You can also find her and follow her, like her and follow her on all her social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just some great words out there on Twitter. If you're looking for inspiration and you feel that she aligns with you, listen to yourself right now. Go ahead and follow through with those actions and put those pieces in your life. Be your own alchemist. Can I say it? Can I do that?
Yes, make that choice.
Make the choice and add this to your life. Mm-hmm. And if you feel so called to, reach out to Dr. Crystal, see where she is. I know in 2018, you're going to be all over. In October, you're here in Atlanta for the Luma Summit.
Yes.
Thank you
excited.
So much for that.
Very excited.
But you're doing the Soul Speak tour, October through December this year. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be in, Detroit, Brooklyn, D.C., Nashville.
And Houston.
And Houston.
Yeah, holding that space in Houston.
Holding the space for Houston. And you're also doing the Mystic Soul Conference as well as the Artful Chiropractic
Convention.
Convention.
Yes.
So you're really out there getting this word forward?
I really have. So there's doing the work. I do it in a meditative space, letting people go through their shadows and group healing. On one-on-one, I do 1-day intensives or 2-day retreats where we go through the healing modalities, and I'm doing it with you in your space. But also, there's a space that a lot of people who are healing facilitators desire to learn how to not do ego-based healing, where I have the answer for your problem. And so I show them how to actually listen to what somebody is asking for. And that's more so where I am teaching now. And so I do have an intention to teach a lot more and lecture a lot more about being a healing facilitator, not being a healer, because you can only heal yourself. So that's more so what the conferences and conventions are, because people are energetically getting drained by ego-based healing. Like, come to me, I can do this for you. And so the only energetic exchange is financial. So if it doesn't equal, then they get drained instead of holding space.
Dr. Crystal, you are changing historically the way that we see healing today. Do you realize that? Like, you are showing up.
I like to elevate the narrative. So just like
changing.
changing this my truth, but I do see it's very helpful for people to give that power back to the person. But so much people just want that power. People feed on that power of, I made this person better, or this person didn't commit suicide because of me, or this person is off of drugs because of me, or this profession. No, this person is here because they decided, and maybe you opened another door for them to alchemize their truth, change their narrative, heal on a foundational level, or just be very clear about where they want to go. So now when you make a decision, whether I agree with it or not, that was your decision, not mine. Right. I don't know where healing is for you. I don't.
That is truth right there.
I don't know if that headache needs to stay because you need to listen. I don't know if that headache needs to stay for 6 weeks, 6 months. All I know is that when your body is clear and when you start healing on a foundational level and you start evolving your truth, you'll start to hear the message. And then it will eventually not need to yell at you anymore. That's what I know. That's what I know. But until you do that work, it's not going to go anywhere.
Listening to you, I had this kind of boiling question, and not to put you on the spot.
This is great. It's fine.
Okay. What kind of advice or tidbit information can you give someone who is looking to their doctor or their healer, their physician, whatever it is, to gain some insight of how to communicate with that physician to maybe get them aligned with letting them have their power?
It's really important to be with a physician or a doctor that understands that first, because that person has been trained, as I was trained, to take that power. So you can go in there and you can ask them a lot of questions, make them do their work, but they have to already have done that work on themselves. I would recommend them either going with their intuition about even getting involved with that doctor or physician in the first place, because when you go in there, you don't feel it. But you stay there because that person is your savior and they're going to get you out of what you're doing. If you don't feel it, that person's not really ready for you. If you're in the space of wanting to own your power. Now, if you don't have that space, you're going to go into a place that's going to take your power. So what's happening is you're going to attract based on your awareness of your own.
So you're giving them permission to say, I'm not going to stay with this physician, this healer, this person, and intuitively attract somebody that would fit them better.
Right, if that's where you're looking to go. Because some people, as I said, don't want to own their power. Some people would love to be involved with the physician so that if something goes wrong, they can blame the physician. And because that's where they are, them going to someone who's going to automatically, as soon as you walk in the door, give you your power back is not going to work, because they're looking to blame.
Right.
So it really depends on what you're looking for. And that's why I ask, because I will happily refer you to someone that can do that. And there's nothing wrong with their modalities. It works for them. It works for them. It's what's keeping them and sustaining them. And I don't think that people who take people's power have bad intent. It's what they've known to actually get the results they're looking for. And for me, and even a lot of people who aren't even doctors, a lot of my clients, they need to be needed. And so that's a truth that has to be dissolved or elevated. So
That's like
you have
me
the
and
power of
Jesse.
choice.
I need Jesse. I'm not ready to dissolve that yet.
Glad to hear it.
But that doesn't need healing. It's a healthy relationship. When somebody is interested in reaching out to you, whether it's a viewer or anybody out there, what's the best way to get a hold of you? And do you do remote sessions, or do they have to be in the community that you're in?
The best way to reach out to me is Heal with Crystal. A lot of my services and my philosophies up there, I really like people to go there because I am as much for people as I'm not for people. So I like for them to really understand, and then they can communicate. And there's buttons to say I'm ready. You can contact me because I need to know what you're looking for first. And then the place that I serve people, they fly me out there. So I'm not really in a space and then I go see people unless I'm on tour. Then I'll open up spaces to work with people. Otherwise, the only place that I am for someone is where they bring me to.
Wow.
I don't, if I'm going, just say if I'm going to Chicago for a client, I'm not going there for a client and then seeing everybody else that's in Chicago, because that person has invested in my time. And so that's how that works. But then when I'm on tour, I do open space after, because I do meditative shadow work. So afterwards, if they want to go a little bit deeper, I do have like small counsel sessions where we can go a little bit deeper in a safe space for you.
At what point in your career did you decide, I'm not going to have an office? People aren't going to come in here. Like, I can do what I can with them here, but when I see that person in their home environment, and I can see how they're rooted, I can visualize, you know, how they're organized, their whole life is kind of displayed, that's where I need to heal them.
That happened shortly after graduation. It's not my last graduation, but when I graduated as a chiropractor, I started on tour. So I was always in the space of behind the scenes where everybody and all the chaos, and where somebody was about to go out and put Superwoman or Superman cape on to be this person for all these people so they can be fed. And I realized that, but I had 3 offices and I was on tour all the time, and so I got exhausted, and then I went to an office space. Practice got amazing, but people were coming there because they thought that was the only space they could heal, was there and with me.
Yeah, so they wouldn't have that mindset of healing in their home space, their office space.
They didn't know how to alchemize their own space. They didn't understand that. So now people say, well, I have kids and I have a dog, and that's great because you're going to have a kid and a dog when I'm
I'm
not there. And I do understand going to spaces and wanting to retreat. That's one thing, to kind of get away. But if you're going to heal, you have to heal at all times. It's not an event, and it's not just an experience. This is a conscious choice to continue to move in this direction.
You're breaking down the paradigm. Setting up a new one, people. Healing doesn't just happen in an office.
But it can. It can. It's not about, now you think, well, it has to be in this this space with all the white walls and then the aromatherapy coming. Like, you can have aromatherapy in your own space. There's something about it being a clean office space that people just gravitate to, because once again, they're giving their power to that space. People just look for places to give their power to.
Keep it. Don't trade it in. It's a really good gift. Keep it.
And then desire healing. Don't desire to work with the person you want to work with. Don't need it. Because when you need it, you carry a different energy with you. And you need all of these things because the healing is inside of you. When you're on your power, then you desire to go different places with people. So 2 people or 3 people our paths are happening, then they converge, and then once they come together, then they diverge for highest good. That's what the healer or healing facilitator really needs to understand, is that person is not yours. Your paths will diverge for highest good, and that person will meet someone else, and maybe they will facilitate healing or go in a different place. What I see often is that there's a level of attachment. I'm your healer and you're supposed to be with me and keep coming back to me, but that person has owned their power, and now our paths have diverged for highest good. They can meet again or not, but it's not, you gotta give them their power and let them choose that.
Well, I know that our time is coming to an end, but I'm kind of not going to let you go without mentioning one thing. Before we had the cameras rolling, you were telling me about this healing production.
Mm-hmm.
What is it called that you have?
It's called the Healers Collective, and it's a full-service consulting and curation and execution company. So we execute wellness in the corporate space, in the entertainment space, because that's where we have been for a while. And I also used to work corporate, and there was no wellness for me there. There was just the things, and I wouldn't go to anything because it wasn't relevant. And then we have our own events, especially in communities where healing and wellness and any type of work is taboo for them or not accessible to them because they've never seen someone like me or my business partner look like them and really do that work. So now when they see us, they say, oh, I can do that too.
Yeah.
And so we really have our entire mission and vision is elevating the narrative of wellness in our communities. So for me, that was more so corporate and entertainment. For him, that's entertainment as well, and a lot of community work.
All right, first off, who is him?
His name is Kevin Kinney. He will be Dr. Kevin Kinney September 22nd, which is exciting. He's graduating, and he used to do a lot more of the promotion. So he has a certain energy he carries with him, and he's just very vulnerable and authentic with his healing process. And he does things, and people are like, I want to do that too, because one, he looks like them. Where they were like, I can't do this. Whatever I'm doing now is the only life that I've ever lived, and it's the only life I can ever have. But they've seen him grow, and that right there, it's beautiful.
So is your energy right now? You just shine when you talk about this, and I couldn't let it go without our community, our Lumineers, knowing what else you were up to and where you're going.
Yes.
But is this on your website?
That is the Healers Collective, so it's www.thehealerscollective.co. And so any corporation, any tour or entertainment or festival or community that wants to really elevate the narrative of wellness can always contact us there, and we curate on site. So we create that.
Reach out. Fingers to keyboard. Follow your heart here if you're listening to this. Reach out.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for holding this space.
So much for being here and laughing with us as the rain threatened to flood our vehicles. I feel like we're in a forest, though. This is beautiful. Rain is all about new life. Really. I have a really deep passion for rain. All my important events in my life have rain.
This is important? This is a thing?
This is a thing
awesome.
happening right now. Oh, thank you again, Lumineers. Thank you so much for being here, lending me your ears, joining us as you're doing your daily activities. Just thank you so much. And remember, it's not woo-woo, it's true.
Yes.
It's true.